Hello and welcome to our 60th session, and in this session we are going to first take a prototype, a very simple prototype which consists of just one script and one collider object. If you play the game and if you check it, a large number of balls will fall down and there is a counter which measures the number of balls that has fallen into the container. Using this concept, we are now going to build a basketball game, and this game is being made for a client, and using this game in the classroom, teachers are going to explain various concepts of mathematics like coordinate geometry, Cartesian coordinates, distance between 2 points, direction vectors, and also the various type of formulas that they can understand. What is vector magnitude, what is unit vector, direction versus strength, converting swipe into magnitude, the direction and strength control, trigonometry. All this will be studied by just going through this game. You have a scene wherein you have a basketball net and you have a ball. When you start the game, you have 10 balls and you have to put the ball exactly in the basket. If I click on the ball and if I drag it, you can see a path appearing, and this path will show exactly where the ball is going to go. And as soon as I release, the ball travels through the trajectory. Now when I am dragging, if I drag up, the angle is going to change, and if I drag to the right, the intensity is going to change. So I can control this intensity and angle through my mouse drag. And if I release it, see, the ball goes there, and if the ball goes through the net, I get the score. As you are also using this game, you are also going to learn about various mathematics formulas. And in this session, we are going to take the prototype of that ball dropping and studying just one script, Counter.cs. We are going to build this complicated and most effective basketball game. As usual, double click Unity Hub to launch it. Come into the project, and we are going to start with a new project. So I will click on new project. I will come into the project name, and I am going to call this as basketball underscore game. And in eUnity project, with Universal 3D SRP template selected, click on create project. Now as the project is getting loaded, come into the YouTube video page or the e-learning page, scroll down, and in the description, if you click on more, you are provided with a Patreon link. Click on this link. This will bring you to the Junior Programmer Series Patreon page. Scroll down and you have this 60A counter.unity package file. Click on it to download it. Also download this 60B basketball game start.unity package file. Click on it to download it. You are also provided with 3 scripts. One is BallThrower.txt. Click on it to download it. And then you have ScoreGateTrigger.txt. Click on it to download it. And then you have GameManager.txt. Click on it to download it. If required, also download this Sathvic _layout.wlt layout file. Now once Unity is launched, select this Readme file, come into the inspector and click on remove Readme asset. And in the confirmation window, click on proceed. We also don't need this input system _actions.file. Right click and choose delete, and in the confirmation window, click on delete. If your layout doesn't match the layout that you are seeing in this video, then come to the top right corner and in this layout panel, choose the Sathvic layout. If Sathvic layout is not present, go to load layout from file, come to your downloads folder, select this Sathvic _layout.wlt file and click on open. The layout that you are seeing in the video and the layout in your computer will be the same. Now coming to the project panel, assets, right click and choose import package, custom package. I am first going to select this 60A counter.unity package file and click on open. Now in the import unity package dialog box, see that all is selected and click on import. You see a folder called counter, and if you open the counter folder, you have one scene. I will double click this scene to open it. If I play this game and if I check it, see all this ball falls down and you can see the counter number running here. Stop the playback. And one issue you have again here is it is showing the error active input handling is not correct. This is because when we imported, we have an event system. I select this event system and in the inspector, choose replace with input system UI input mode. Go to file and save this scene. And now if you play it, you will now doesn't see any errors. Now if I stop the playback, here if you explore the scene, you can see you have one main camera, direction light and a box. If you open it, there are around 5 cubes and this box is attached with a box collider. Come into this box collider, you can see a small collider is added inside this, and this collider is actually judging how many balls are falling into the container. So now if I double click this Counter.cs file to open it, trust the author window, I click on yes, I trust the author. You have one public text counter text, then the counter is set to 0 and OnTriggerEnter. As soon as the collision happens, 1 is added to the counter and the text is showing count plus count. Whenever any of the ball comes in contact with the collider, immediately the counter is going to run. So this is a very simple script, and we are using the same kind of OnTriggerEnter script to build our basketball game now. So I will close this Counter.cs. I will also close this Visual Studio Code. I will come into the project panel. You have this counter. Now I will come into the asset, right click and choose import package custom package, and this time I am going to import this 60B basketball game start.unity package and click on open. Now in the import unity package dialog box, I see that all is selected and click on the import button. Once it is imported, you now have a folder called Sathvic _ basketball, and if you come into the scene, you have one basketball scene. Now double click this basketball scene to open it. Now there is some warning here. I will just click here and I will clear this and close this. If you come into the hierarchy, you have one main camera, you have one direction light, and you have one global volume, and you have one ring, and this ring consists of a net. If I select net and press F, and if I alt left click and turn around, this is the net, and ring is complete this basketball net structure. I will select the basketball, and if I press F, you can see the ball here. You can see here basketball has mesh renderer, peer collider, and also rigid body is added to it. I will come to collision detection and I am going to choose continuous dynamic, and in interpolate I am going to change it to interpolate. I will also come back into this ring and I am going to add a component. I will type COLL and I am going to add a mesh collider for my entire ring. And I will select the floor, and the floor also have a box collider already added to it. I will come into the layer, I will click on this layer and I will click on add layer, and I am going to create a layer called ground and press enter. Now I will select this floor and I will attach this to the layer ground. I will select this basketball and I am going to come into tag and I am going to create a new tag. In the list I will plus and I will create a ball tag. Click on save. Now come back to basketball and in tag I am going to select the ball tag to it. If you come into the sphere collider, it has been added with a physics material bounce. Now I will close this sphere collider. Whenever the ball moves through the net, to identify it and add it to the score, I have to add 2 game objects. I will just come near this ring. I will come into the hierarchy. I will right click and I am going to now create an empty object, and I will call this a ScoreTop_Trigger. I will come into transform. I will reset it. In the scene view, come on the gizmo and I will change the view to isometric. I will right click and come into the top view, and with ScoreTop_Trigger selected, press F. And you can see this is somewhere here. So I will drag it and place it at the center of the ring like this. For the ScoreTop_Trigger, I will come into inspector. I will click add component. I will type col and I am going to add box collider. And I will set its size x1, z1, and along y I will set it to a size of around 0.1. Now I can see this collider. I will drag it and keep it over exactly on this ring here. I will right click here and come into the front view. I will just move it up like this. I will right click and come into the back view, and I will just move it and keep it just on the top of my ring here. So this is called as core top trigger. I will select this core top trigger, press Ctrl D, duplicate it, and I will press F2 and I will call this as core bottom trigger. I will just drag it down below this net here. So I have added two triggers here. Now I will select the floor, and if you come into the inspector, we have added both mesh collider and box collider to our floor. We don't want two colliders, so I will select this mesh collider and I am going to remove this component and have only the box collider. I will come into the basketball. I am going to add a component to create the line or the path or the trajectory. I will click on add component and I will type line and I will add this line renderer. I will scroll down and I will set its width to something like approximately 0.4 and see that use world space is on. In the material, as of now, no material is allotted. So I will click on the dot here, and in the material, as in the asset, I will select default and I am going to select this default line material and double click to add it. Now next I am going to move up, and in the color I will click on this and I will set its initial color to a shade of blue like this. After adding this line renderer, I will just close it, come into the hierarchy, right click, and I am going to add a create empty, and this is the game manager. Now all our components in our scene is ready. I will go to file and save it, and next we have to add our script. I will come into asset, right click and choose create a new folder, and I am going to call this as scripts. And in the scripts folder, first I am going to right click and I am going to create a mono behavior script, and this script I will call it as game manager. Allow the script to compile and see that the class name and the file name is the same. Then drag this and attach it to my game manager component. The second script, I will right click here, create, and I am going to create a mono behavior script, and I will call this as BallThrower. Allow the script to compile. This BallThrower script will be attached to my basketball. So you have the BallThrower script attached. And finally I come on the script, right click, create, and I will create a mono behavior script, and I am now going to call this as ScoreGateTrigger. Press enter. Allow the script to compile. I am going to drag this ScoreGateTrigger script both on score top trigger. I will also drag it and attach it to score bottom trigger. So both these are attached with this ScoreGateTrigger. So we have created three scripts: BallThrower, Game Manager, and ScoreGateTrigger. Now before we start working on the script, if I come into the scene view, I will just change it back to perspective view, and then I will just zoom out. I will right click and turn over, and you can see the ball is placed here. The position from where the ball has to be spanned, I have to create one empty. So I will come into the hierarchy, right click, and I will create a new empty, and I will call this as ball span point. And I will come to transform, and I will first reset it to 0, 0, 0. Now in the scene view, I will right click on the gizmo and come into the left view. I will just zoom in. If required, I will change it to orthographic view, and I will drag this, move it along the y axis by 2 points, and then along the z axis, I will move it back by -8 points. I will even raise it a little more. I will keep it at around 3 along y axis and -8 along the z axis. And this I have called it as ball span point. Now I will enable orthographic view again. My ball will be positioned from this point, and I will come into the main camera I will right click and come into the top view, and I want to see this from a slight angle like this. So I will move it along the X by around 5 units, along Y I will move it by around 4 units, and Z I will move it by around -7 units, and then turn along the X axis by around 25 degree, and along Y I will turn by -50 degree. I will select the game manager, and in transform I will reset it to 0, 0, 0. I will come back to my ball span point. In transform I will click on the 3 dots, come here to copy, and I will copy the position. I will come back to basketball, and in transform I will come to paste, and I will paste the position, so that this is the place from where the balls will be spanned. I will come back to the camera, and I will turn it by around -83 degree. X 25 degree I have rotated. Position X is 5, Y is 4, and Z is -5. I have to add my user interface. I will come into the hierarchy, right click, come into UI, and I will first add a canvas. I will call this as UI underscore canvas, and here I will right click, and I will come into UI, and I will add a text mesh pro, and if it asks me to import the text mesh pro, click on import TMP essentials, so that all this text mesh pro components are imported. I will close this, and now I will select this text, press F2, and I will call this as core text. I will come into the inspector. In rect transform alignment I will alt click here and select left align. Along X I will move it down by -100 unit. Along X I will move it by 200 unit, and I will set its value to score colon, and I will set its width to around 300. I will leave the font size at 36. Now I will select score text, right click and choose duplicate, or press Ctrl D, press F2, and I will call this as balls left text. I will come into rect transform alignment with alt click here. I will align it to the right end. Along the Y axis I will move it by -100. Along X I will move it by -200. Come into the text input, and I will change it to ball left colon, and here also leave the width at 300. I will come into UI canvas, right click and come into UI, and I am going to now create a panel, and I am going to call this as game over panel. Inside this panel now I will right click, come to UI, and I will create a text mesh pro, and I will call this as final core text, and I will come into the text input, and I will call this as final score, end it with colon. I will come now, and in text wrapping mode I will change it to no wrap, and I will set its size to 80. I will align it to the center. Here come into the color, I will select green and select a dark green color. I will make it bold and also move it along the Y axis 100 units. I am also coming into my game over panel, right click UI, and I am now going to add a button text mesh pro. I will call this button as restart button. I will come into the width, I will change the width to 200, height I will change it to 60. I will open this, select the text, press F2, I will call this as restart text, come into the text input, and I will change this to restart, and I will set the font size to 48 and make it bold. I will come back to restart button, and in highlight color I will select a green color. This is the final game over panel, and when the game starts this will be hidden, so I will disable it. Now I will come to file and save it. So we are now ready to work on the script. We are going to first copy this given script, paste it into it, and make the game work. And in the next 2-3 sessions in detail, I am going to explain every line of the script. First, we are going to work on the game manager script. Double click to open this. Whatever code you have to type here, I have already given it to you through the Patreon page, and you have already downloaded it. So if you come to the download page, you have downloaded this 60E GameManager.txt file. Double click to open this. Come to edit, choose select all, then come to edit and copy it. Now come to Visual Studio Code, press Ctrl A to select everything, press delete and press Ctrl V to paste it. See that there are no error. Go to file and save it. Now come back to Unity and allow the script to get compiled. You have attached GameManager to the GameManager game object here, and if you select it in the UI, score text. From UI canvas, drag score text and attach it. Then for ball left text, drag ball left text and attach it, and drag this game over panel and attach it to this game over panel. Open game over panel. I will drag this final score text and attach it to final score text. I will go to file and save it. So our job with the game manager is now over. If you come back to Visual Studio Code, every line of code, what it is going to do, I will explain it later. So right now just copy and paste it. Now come back to Unity, and next I am going to take this BallThrower script, double click to open it. If you come to your downloads folder, you have one BallThrower.txt file. Double click to open this. Come to edit and choose select all in your notepad. Ctrl C to copy it. Now come back to Visual Studio Code, and in BallThrower.cs file, press Ctrl A, delete everything, Ctrl V to paste it. There is one error that we are seeing somewhere. It is actually a warning. So if you just scroll and if you just find it out, so you are seeing the yellow line here. You can see here in line number 192, RB I have used velocity, and in the new version we don't use just velocity, we use linear velocity. So I have to add this, go to file and save it. Come back to Unity, allow the script to compile. If you select the basketball and if you scroll down, you have the BallThrower script, for which I have to add some references. The first reference I have to add here is the camera. I will drag my main camera and attach it to the camera. You have ball span point. We have already created this game object. I will drag it and attach it. And for the hoop ring target, I will open the ring and I will select the net. Net is the target towards which we are supposed to throw the ball. So I will drag this net and attach it to this hoop ring target. For line renderer, we have already added line renderer in the basketball. I will just drag it and attach the line renderer. Now if you scroll down, you have one ground mask here. Click here and choose the ground layer here. Now go to file and save this. Select the ScoreGateTrigger script. Double click to open it. If you come to your downloads folder, you have 60D ScoreGateTrigger.txt file. Double click to open it. Now just press Ctrl A or go to edit, select all, and then press Ctrl C or just copy this. Come into your Visual Studio Code, press Ctrl A and paste it. Now go to file and save this. I will come back to Unity and allow the script to compile. This ScoreGateTrigger is attached to score top trigger, and see that each top trigger is switched on for top trigger, but for bottom trigger I will switch it off. Now go to file and save it. If we play the game and if we check it, I will click at the ball, and if I drag it, see you are seeing a trajectory, and I can just drag and control the speed and make the ball fall inside this. As I can change the angle, if I drag more, the speed will be more. If I drag up and down, I can control the angle. Left and right, I can control the speed. So now I can set this and make the ball fall inside this net. Now I will stop the playback. Apart from controlling my mouse drag, I also want to add some sliders. If you come here into basketball, you can see the values here set. Minimum power, maximum power, upward boost. Some of these controls, I want this to be available to the user, so that by running or changing those controls, he can make the ball precisely fall inside the net. So this we are going to do it in our next session. And before we jump into this slider, I want you to understand exactly how this code is working. We just copied and pasted these 3 scripts, and in our next sessions we are going to understand how each script is working.